Hey everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Press Enterprise High School Football Video Podcast. I'm Press Enterprise Sports Editor Tim Hare, and I'm being joined this week, as usual, by Dan Reilly. Dan, thanks again for being here.
Of course.
Now, just seeing myself on camera, I realize this is like the third week in a row I'm wearing my blue checkered shirt. I basically look like I don't have any other clothes.
Today, I actually took into consideration that we were doing the podcast, and I was like,
and you decided to dress like Johnny Cash.
Well, I figured I was wondering what color I wore last week.
Yeah,
and black's a safe bet.
I need to mix it up.
You look good.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Let's talk some football.
All right.
The big game this week, double local game. We've got Central Columbia going to Southern. Central, right now they're in that 8th spot in District 4, 2A, but it's pretty tentative. They have a pretty tentative hold on that 8th spot. Bloom is only 150 points behind them with a winnable game with Lewisburg, a home game against a Lewisburg team that has struggled to run the ball and is going to try to throw in what seems like it's going to be wet conditions tomorrow.
Yes.
So Central, a decided underdog against Southern. What do they have to do to at least be competitive against the Tigers?
Oh boy, I mean that's no easy task for any team. I feel like
right, and this isn't putting Central down.
No,
I think Southern is just better than we thought. In August.
I completely agree. It's no way a knock in any team that's going to face Southern. I mean, it's just Southern is that good, and like you said, they're better than we probably gave, of course, than we gave them credit for heading into the season. And now that we know a little more about what each team is capable of doing, it's going to take a lot to knock Southern off. You basically have to outscore them,
which
in every game.
Not a lot of teams in the state can do.
Absolutely not.
Now, you saw Southern last week.
I did.
And they added an interesting little wrinkle to the offense. They put Julian Fleming, their standout freshman wide receiver, in the backfield.
Yep.
They gave it to him twice.
And
one was called back by a hold.
by a holding penalty, right.
How's he look back there? I know it's a small sample size.
He looked fantastic. I mean, it's and a few writers were talking to Julian after the game, and one of them asked, if he'd really like to make that a part of what he does, and particularly asked Julian about running in between the tackles, which Julian did not seem too excited to do. I mean, Julian wants to stay outside, and the way that Southern gives him the ball,
his game.
Absolutely right.
He runs like a deer.
Right, if they could get him to the outside on the edge and get him a little, some good blocks on the edge, forget it, he's gone.
Or even, Southern, it's one of the staples of their offense, that little scissors inside reverse.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, just the fact that you put Fleming back there and maybe hand him the ball for a defense to overplay that run and then, go against, what the defense is expecting.
Yeah.
I mean, even though you're not using Fleming as a ball carrier, just the threat of Fleming as a ball carrier is going to make a defense sweat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and good luck trying to stop him. I mean, if he gets in the open field, that is, because once he does, he has the speed to outrace anyone.
And not just handing him the ball, but and Southern did it in 2002 with Matt Murdoch, who was their best athlete on that team. He was a wide receiver that they put at halfback. And not only was he a weapon then running the ball, but you slip him out of the backfield on play action. You get him matched up with a linebacker.
Yep.
You show me a linebacker who's going to cover Julian Fleming one-on-one.
I don't.
That's
know
a
that
50-yard touchdown 10 times out of 10.
Absolutely. So that's a huge wrinkle that they can potentially be very dangerous.
And this is something Jim Roth does very well. When people talked about George Curry, his strengths as a coach, they talked about his in-game adjustments.
Yeah.
That he was just brilliant at tinkering and just making those little changes that were going to help his team win.
Much was the case last week when he did that with Fleming.
And I feel like with Jim Roth, when you talk about his strength, and not to say that he isn't a good in-game coach.
Oh, of course.
But there's a reason that Southern seems to get better as the season goes on, and that's because Roth isn't afraid to tinker a little. I remember one season when they had Kyle Conahan. He was a linebacker that they moved to safety to get Nick Gallen out on the field. The Murdoch move in 2002.
Yep.
He just knows how to just tighten the screws a little bit and just have Southern running at peak efficiency by week 10.
It's no wonder they're 8-0 and pretty much looking like no one can stop them.
They haven't won 7 state titles by accident.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Now, Danville has an interesting game this week. They go to Shamokin.
Yep.
And, Danville's got to turn the ship around.
Yeah, they got to score some points.
What do they have the last 3 weeks? They've 14 against Mount Carmel, 7 against Lewisburg, 7 against Southern.
Yep.
Shamokin's struggling, but 7 points isn't going to cut it.
No, and running into Southern last week certainly didn't help their cause. I mean, they had Trent Hilkert back running the ball, but I would expect them to get back on track in terms of scoring some points against Shamokin. They should be able to do that fairly easily, although it sounds like Shamokin is a very physical team from talking to both coaches, but a lot of youth for the Indians this year.
Yeah, and some questions at quarterback.
Yeah,
They've platooned 2 kids at quarterback in Shamokin. What does Danville have to do to score points? I mean, obviously they didn't have Hilkert for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Do the problems start up front? What's been the problem from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think it is an issue up front. Some protection issues, and
6 sacks allowed last week against
allowed
Southern.
a lot of sacks. Peyton Reilly hasn't had enough time to get comfortable, throwing the ball. But with Trent back, everything's going to revolve around him on offense. So I would expect a heavy dose of Hilkert running the ball if they can keep Shamokin's defense honest there. That's going to open things up for Gannon Feldman as well. So we'll see, what they come up with this week.
Now, as we mentioned, Bloom has a Lewisburg team that's tough to get a grasp on. Lewisburg, some weeks they don't look so great. They played a Milton team that's really struggled this year and only scored 17 against them. Do you think Bloom beats Lewisburg this week? Because and you hate to make an assumption, but you have to think that Southern beats Central.
Yes.
Does Bloom beat Lewisburg? Because then that makes it very interesting, this playoff race.
I'm inclined to say Lewisburg beats Bloom. Only because I know, clearly they were able to beat Danville a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it could go either way, of course, and the thing about it is it's a must-win for both teams. So in terms of the playoff picture,
yeah, because Lewisburg is also only 60 points out of the AAA,
right?
race,
And then you
which
got
is a 4-team field.
We had mentioned Bloom, right? 150 behind Central. So I mean, it's
I think Bloom beats Lewisburg.
I could see it going either way
because the things that Lewisburg does well. Throwing the ball with a freshman quarterback, but a freshman who's 8 games into his season. He's not a rookie anymore.
Yep.
But the things that Lewisburg does well are the things that Bloom defends well.
Right.
They have athletes. They can cover.
They can.
And I just can't see Lewisburg. They haven't run on anybody. I don't see them running consistently against Bloomsburg. Bloomsburg's coming off kind of an embarrassing loss to Loyalsock, and I mean, they've got something to prove.
Hey.
And in the past, I mean, they've shown that they can respond to the challenge.
And this is
I don't think Lewisburg's better than the Hughesville team that Bloom beat.
No, I agree. Yeah, you're right. I think with that in mind, Bloom has a much better chance of winning this game than maybe they had a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so let's say this. So say Bloom wins that. You get the 100 for the win. You get 20 for playing up, so that's 120 points.
Yep.
And another 20 for Lewisburg's 2 wins.
And let's say Central loses.
And let's say Central loses. So it gives
very
Bloom
distinct
140 points. So that puts them within 10 points of Central. That essentially makes the Bloom Central game in Week 10 a playoff game.
Oh, I know.
Who do you think wins that?
Wow.
And it's been a hot topic in the office all week. Bloom Central.
Man. Ask me next week, because I
am asking you this
week. I don't
week.
know. I don't know. I can't answer it yet.
I need an answer.
Ugh, I hate it. Central. I'm going Central.
Central hasn't won since 2004.
Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling this is the year Central wins.
This is the year, too. Yep.
I just feel like they run the ball so well. Their defense is, I think, good enough to hold Bloom to, say, 20.
Yeah.
But it is a toss-up.
Let's see what happens this week with Bloom Lewisburg. I think we'll have a better idea of where the Panthers stand. But I am leaning towards Central at this point, yes.
This week's tailgate, barbecue chicken. You excited?
Yep, homemade potato salad.
Homemade potato salad.
Marion.
I'm going to bring some dessert of some kind, TBD.
Whatever it is. We got some chips already that are secured.
Yep, we've secured some Utz chips. It's very important to be specific there. Utz chips.
Reich also says the cherry Pepsi.
He owns stock in Pepsi.
He does, so apparently
just lining his own pocket.
That's what he's going to do.
Greedy.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to do it for the podcast. How do you think we did?
I think we, on a scale of 1 to 10, we'll go like 7.5 to 8.
I was going to say a solid 7.
Okay.
Solid
7.5. I'm good.
All right. Well, if you liked what you saw, please go to our website, pressenterpriseonline.com. The podcast is embedded there, and you can also read our tweets from games. We have live scoring updates, so all the content that you'd want to check out. You can check out our playbook this week. The cover story is Votech wide receiver John Binder, who I had the privilege to see last week. Went for about 170 yards in a tough loss.
Yep.
But heck of a player,
It's
heck
fun
of a
to
story
watch.
by Adam Roberts.
There you go.
So until next time, for Assistant Editor Dan Reilly, I'm Press Enterprise Sports Editor Tim Hare, and we'll see you next week.